Honourable members, we have quorum. Minister for Mining will lead us in prayer.
Our Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you this morning. We come before your presence. We also thank you for giving us another opportunity to lead your people in this. Lead us not from temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Honourable members, I acknowledge the presence in the public gallery of members and officers of the Goroka District Development Authority in the Eastern Highlands Province, President and members of the constituent from the Hiri Koiari District in the Central Province, and the grade 11 students and their teachers from the North East Academy Secondary School in Bomana, National Capital District. On behalf of the National Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to you all. Like any petitions? The member for Hiri, Deputy Opposition Leader, have a petition to present.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, before I present this petition, I also acknowledge the presence of the former Deputy Prime Minister and in his time as Member of Parliament for Kairuku-Hiri Open, Minister for Petroleum at one stage and Minister for Planning respectively, the Honourable Gentleman Sir Moyave, also in the gallery this morning with us. The Speaker also acknowledged my constituents from the plant site area of the PNG LNG plant project. The Speaker, the Honourable Speaker and members of the National Parliament assembled today, this humble petition of the PNG LNG plant site landowners of Caution Bay, the people of Papa, Rarea, Boera and Porabada, Hiri local level government, Hiri Koiari district, represented through the Laba Holdings Limited and Hiri local level government, Special Purpose Authority, and of course their clan heads. The petition for the governance ring fencing within Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited of the Central Province and plant site share of the 4.27% Croton equity option with beneficiary representation and dividend control and KPHL reimbursed at cost over the life of the project, or in the alternative, a separate and dedicated special purpose vehicle. Mr. Speaker, the undersigned beneficiaries under the 2009 PNG LNG Project Umbrella Benefit Sharing Agreement, or Kokopo UBSA, and the 2009 License-Based Benefit Sharing Agreements, LBBSA, being the customary landowners of the PNG LNG plant site at Caution Bay, namely the people of the 4 plant site villages of Papa, Boera, Rarea and Porabada in the Hiri local government area of the Hiri Koiari district, together with the beneficiary communities of Central Province, respectfully submit this petition to the Honourable Members of Parliament to address a matter of grave public concern arising from National Executive Council Decision Number 64 of 2026, dated 8 April 2026. By way of brief background, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the entire downstream commercial heart of the PNG LNG project, the gas liquefaction plant, the LNG storage tanks, and the marine export terminal is situated on the customary land of the Hiri West plant site landowners in the Hiri Quarry district of Central Province. It is at this plant site that the commercial value of the gas is crystallized, made liquid, stored, and loaded for export. Without this land, there is no plant, no liquefaction, no export terminal, and no LNG revenue. Hiri Quarry is widely recognized as the district that hosts the PNG LNG plant site and supplies water and power into Port Moresby. The plant site landowners are customary owners originally of the 4 Caution Bay villages, Papa, Buera, Rarea, and Porabada. Within the Hiri local government area, they are organized through their village landowner companies held under the umbrella of Laba Holdings Limited, GR Plant Limited, and Hiri LNG SPA, representing the LLG. Their project equity and royalty entitlements in respect of the plant site held under the Petroleum Processing Facility License PPFL2 are administered through the landowner equity companies, GR PNG LNG Plant Limited. Under the UBSA, to which the independent state, the Central Provincial Government, and Hiri LLG and the project area landowners listed in Schedule 1 are all signatory parties. The state and the project impacted landowners and provincial governments agreed a total benefits package. A central element of that package is the equity option. Under Clause 6.1, Sub A, Roman numeral 2 of the UBSA, the beneficiary group is entitled to an estimated 4.22% project interest, now redetermined to 4.27%, by virtue of a commercial option over an undivided and fixed 25.75% shareholding in Croton, vis-à-vis Croton Equity. These benefits were negotiated, agreed to in the spirit of the National Constitution of fairness, equity, inclusivity, and transparency, adopting the true spirit of the leadership style of the Prime Minister at the time, late Honourable Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, and the inaugural Governor of Fort Hela Province, late the Honourable Gentleman Anderson Agiru. By NEC Decision 64 of 2026, Mr. Speaker, the Council reaffirmed the commitment under the Kokopo UBSA and LBBSAs, approved the separation and transfer of 4.27% Croton equity from Kumul Petroleum into a new Croton Equity Option SPV, free of encumbrances, and directed 30 million kina in reimbursable seed capital, and endorsed an interim board structured and an interim chief executive officer for a 24-month period. We support the separation, in principle, into a beneficiary-owned vehicle. Our concern is with the composition of that vehicle and the place or absence of the plant site landowners and the central provincial government within it. Mr. Speaker, it is important to understand why cost, in inverted commas, arises at all. The Croton equity is not a free grant. Under Clause 6.1a sub 2 and Clause 6.2 of the UBSA, it is a commercial option which had to be exercised by a lump sum payment to the state at the rate of $240 million per percentage point of project interest. Because the beneficiary group could not fund that payment, KPHL was directed by the now rescinded NEC Decision number 239 of 2016 to provide vendor finance, and so came to hold the Croton equity on the beneficiary's behalf. That is why KPHL carries a cost in the asset, and why both the ring fencing of the share under our principal request and the transfer of the share under our alternative request must deal fairly with the recovery of that audited cost at cost and no more. The issue, Mr. Speaker, is that Clause 6.3.2 of the Kokopo UBSA sets out exactly how the Croton equity is to be shared. It is first divided into ratio of 76-24 between the PDL upstream area on the one hand and the pipeline and LNG plant areas on the other. That's 76:24. Within the pipeline and LNG plant tranche, the 24% of the Croton equity, the agreed shares are as follows. Plant landowners, 11%. That is the landowners themselves. Pipeline landowners, 8%. Central Provincial Government, 2.5%. Gulf Provincial Government, 2.5%, equating to 24%. Two facts emerge plainly from the agreement itself, Mr. Speaker. First, the plant site landowners hold an 11% share of the entire Croton equity. That's 4 point. The largest single landowner entitlement in the pipeline and plant tranche, and the third largest landowner entitlement of any landowner group across the whole Croton equity, exceeded only by Heights at 19% and Kutubu landowners at 12%. The plant site landowner share is larger than the Heights 4, Angore, Juha, Moran, and Gobe landowners groups. Second, the Central Provincial Government holds 2.5% of the Croton equity, a share precisely equal to that of the Gulf Provincial Government. Yet, Mr. Speaker, the NEC Decision number 64/2026 establishes a KEO SPV interim board that, may I say, gives the plant site landowners no dedicated director, even though they're the largest single beneficiary in the pipeline and plant tranches folded, without a beneficiary elected seat into an independent director set to represent the pipeline project area across Gulf, Western, and Central provinces. Two, gives the governor of Central Province no permanent ex officio seat. By contrast, Mr. Speaker, the Heights PDL landowners receive a dedicated director. The Southern Highlands receive both a dedicated director and a permanent ex officio governor's seat. Hela receives a permanent ex officio governor's seat, and the Gulf governors holds the standing ex officio seat. The two beneficiaries left without a dedicated or permanent seat are the very landowners on whose land the plant stands, 11% equity, and the provincial government of equal standing to Gulf. This outcome, Mr. Speaker, cannot be reconciled with the proportional beneficiary-owned intent of the UBSA that the NEC Decision 64/2026 itself sets out to preserve, nor can it be reconciled with the national goals and directive principles of the National Constitution, which call for the equitable sharing of the benefits of our natural resources. We further note that under Clause 17.3 of the UBSA, the Central Provincial Government carries the very same project security undertakings imposed on the Southern Highlands, Gulf, and Flye River Provincial Governments to assist the state in addressing threats against LNG project personnel and property. Security at the plant site is no less critical than security upstream. It is neither just nor sustainable to impose equal burdens while withholding equal control. For these reasons, a seat or two on a single upstream-dominated KEO SPV board would not cure the inequity. A combined 13.5% economic interest, the plant site landowners 11% and CPG 2.5%, governed by a board of which Hela, the Southern Highlands, and upstream PDL areas hold the controlling majority, would leave the downstream beneficiaries permanently outvoted on every decision affecting their own equity. The beneficiaries therefore seek, as their principal request, the governance ring fencing of their share within KPHL. The share remaining legally held by KPHL, but separately accounted for and governed through a mechanism in which the beneficiaries are represented and control the decisions affecting their share, including what their dividends are used to deliver. KPHL's audited cost is reimbursed at cost with no margin, retired progressively out of the dividend stream over the remaining life of the PNG LNG project, so that the people receive meaningful benefit throughout. This is the cleanest course. It requires no transfer to be priced, it does not duplicate management costs, and it can convert into the beneficiary's own dedicated vehicle in future. In the alternative, the beneficiaries seek a separate and dedicated SPV to hold and manage their share directly. The request, Mr. Speaker, we make one principal request, and in the alternative, one further request, which has been outlined initially. We respectfully urge the Parliament and the NEC to allow the plant site and Central Province shares of the 4.27 Croton equity to remain held by KPHL for the time being, but to be governed and ring-fenced within KPHL through a mechanism in which the plant site landowners of Papa Rarea, Boira, and Porabara, and the Central Provincial Government are represented and control the decisions affecting their share, including what their dividends are used to deliver. With KPHL reimbursed its audited cost at cost and no more, retired progressively from the dividend stream of the remaining life of the PNG LNG project. This, Mr. Speaker, is our principal request. It avoids duplicating management costs and requires no transfer to be priced. In the alternative, Mr. Speaker, we respectfully urge the NEC to establish a separate and dedicated Central Province and Plant Site Croton Equity Option SPV to hold and manage a 13.5% share, wholly decoupled from the KEO SPV, established under NEC Decision 64 of 2026 and governed by the beneficiaries themselves, with the share transferred from KPHL free of encumbrances, and KPHL paid no more than its actual independently audited cost. We respectfully urge the Parliament to ensure that the plant site landowners and Central Province suffer no disadvantage, and that our duly mandated representatives are formally included in the discussions concerning the structuring of the Croton Equity Option Vehicle before the interim KEO SPV board is operationalized or any transfer of the Croton equity is completed. In support of the above, we respectfully ask through the Parliament to recommend to the NEC the following positions. Recognition of plant site as the point of commercial crystallization. PNG LNG plant storage tanks and marine export terminal sit on the customary land of Boira, Papa, Rarea, and Porabara in Central Province. The plant site is a distinct and indispensable project area, on a par with the upstream PDL areas, and its landowners and host province are entitled to manage their own equity. Secondly, governance ring-fencing of the share within KPHL. The plant site and Central Province share of the Croton equity, combined of 13.5%, shall remain legally by KPHL, but shall be governed and ring-fenced within KPHL, separately identified, accounted for, and segregated from KPHL's other interests. The ring fence shall include a dedicated governance and oversight mechanism in which the plant site landowners of Papa, Rarea, Boira, and Porabara and CPG are represented, and through which they control and approve the decisions affecting their share. The beneficiaries shall determine the application of their share of the dividends, that is, what those dividends are used to deliver, community projects, distributions, savings, and investments, in accordance with their own priorities. Because legal title does not move, there is no transfer to be priced. The only sum to be agreed is the financed amount, KPHL's actual independently audited cost of the shares, the attributable Croton equity option exercise price funded under the former vendor finance arrangements plus carrying cost, to be fixed by the independent audit. The finance amount shall be reimbursed to KPHL at cost with no margin of profit and shall be retired progressively out of the dividend stream over the remaining life of the PNG LNG project, applied in the following order. The waterfall, as we call it. First, KPHL's reasonable capped and audited management fees are deducted. Second, the agreed amortized installments in reduction of the financed amount. Third, the balance of the plant site and Central Province beneficiaries as current cash in each period. And fourth, upon full retirement of the financed amount, the whole of the distribution to the beneficiaries. The financed amount shall be non-recourse, repayable solely out of the distributions of the ring-fenced share, so that the beneficiaries bear no personal shortfall. The cost of funds shall not exceed KPHL's actual cost of funds, and no other KPHL liabilities, encumbrances, or cross-collateralization may attach to the share. KPHL's reasonable management costs shall be governed by a management and services agreement between KPHL and the beneficiaries, or their nominated representative body, so that management costs are not duplicated. The beneficiaries may prepay or refinance the financed amount with alternate financing at any time, and may elect to convert the ring-fenced interest into their own dedicated debt-free vehicle at any time. Alternative, a separate and dedicated plant site KEO SPV is established. If the beneficiaries so elect, or if the ring fencing under paragraph 2 cannot be implemented, a separate and dedicated SPV titled the plant site KEO SPV shall be established and Incorporated to hold and manage 13.5% share, wholly decoupled from the KEO SPV established under NEC Decision number 64 of 2026 and governed by the beneficiaries themselves. Directors elected by plant site landowners of Papa, Boera, Rere, and Puerabara, the Governor of Central Province as a permanent ex officio director, and an independent director with an investment or financial institution background, and the National Executive Council shall direct KPHL and the state to divest separate and transfer that share directly into the plant site KEO SPV, free of any encumbrances or liabilities. KPHL shall be paid no more than its actual independently audited cost and no margin or uplift, and any financing shortfall shall be borne by the state, not the beneficiaries. Pipeline landowners ordinarily resident in Central Province or around the Gulf may, at their own election, have their share of the Croton equity managed through the same structure if they so wish. Proportionate seed capital audit and protections. Whether under the ring-fenced or dedicated SPV, the plant site and Central Provincial beneficiaries shall receive the proportionate share of the 30 million kina reimbursable seed capital for the ring fence, principally toward the cost of the independent audit, for the dedicated SPV, also toward establishment and operationalization. And the independent valuation audit must be expressly identify, verify, and protect the plant site and Central Province entitlements, reporting its findings to the beneficiaries as well as to the KPHL board and the trustee shareholders. And this proportion entitlement and value. All distributions, return, and value flowing from 13.5% interest shall vest and then be managed by the benefits of the plant site landowners and Central Province under the ring-fenced arrangement within KPHL or through the plant site KEO SPV, transparently and in proportion to the agreed UBSA shares. Amendment of the NEC decision should be made so that any oversight in the original structure is corrected. NEC decision number 64 of 2026 shall be amended to authorize and give effect to this ring fencing of the plant site and Central Province share within KPHL, or in the alternative, the plant site KEO SPV before the interim KEO SPV board is operationalized. And inclusion in the structuring discussions, the member for Hiri Quarry as the duly mandated representatives of the plant site landowners and Central Province must be included in the discussions with the Prime Minister and the governors of 5 provinces, as the good Prime Minister had indicated last week, out of the structure of the Croton Equity Option Vehicle. No disadvantage in constitutional compliance. No step in the ring fencing, establishment, transfer, or operation of the share, the KEO SPV or the plant site KEO SPV may place the plant site landowners or Central Province at any disadvantage relative to the upstream beneficiaries. The outcome must give effect to the equitable sharing principles of the national goals and directive principles of the PNG Constitution and honor the original intent of the 2009 Kokopo UBSA and LBBSA. Finally, Mr. Speaker, they built the whole plant on our land and then left us outside the door. We do not ask merely for a seat at someone else's table. We ask, first, that our share be ring-fenced and separately governed within KPHL, with our people represented in control of what our dividends are used to deliver, and with KPHL repaid only its audited costs, at cost, retired over the remaining life of the project. This is the cleanest course. There is no transfer to be priced and no duplicated management cost, and it can become our own dedicated vehicle into the future. In the alternative, we ask for our own dedicated SPV. We ask the Honourable Members of Parliament to consider this petition with urgency and to take the appropriate legislative and policy measures to give effect to it, so that the people of Central Province and the plant site landowners of Papa, with their 12 clans, Rere with the 13 clans, Boera with the 14 clans, and Puerabara with the 32 clans, take their rightful place in the management of their share of the Croton equity option. The petitioners therefore humbly pray that the Parliament will recommend to the NEC, or in the deliberation, ring fencing with Kumul Petroleum Limited of the Central Province and plant site share of the Croton equity, with beneficiary representation and control over the application of dividends, and KPHL reimburse that cost over the remaining life of the project, even though the NEC decision itself says a unencumbered free carry. Or in the alternative, the establishment of a dedicated special purpose vehicle together with the consequential protections set out in this petition, and your petitioners will ever pay. Pray. And your petitioners is in duty bound will ever pray. Thank you kindly, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk, any notices? Honourable members, question time. Member for Bulolo.
Thank you, Acting Speaker Lo Tuksawe Lo People Lo Bulolo. My questions are directed to the Deputy Prime Minister. It's regarding the land issues involving the DDA in Wafi Golpu, Hidden Valley Mine, and of course the mining leases. And I'd like the Minister for Mining and the Minister for Justice and Attorney General and also the Minister for National Planning to also take notes. Mr. Speaker, as background, different leases under the Mining Act are issued over existing customary land and state leases. For example, an exploration license covering thousands of hectares can cover a school or a health facility or even villages or existing business lease under the Lands Act. Further, the District Development Authority or DDA, that is service delivery mechanism, are excluded from the Community Development Agreement or Memorandum of Understanding, a Memorandum of Agreement that includes national government or provincial government, local government, and also the landowner associations. My questions are, Mr. Speaker, number one, I have raised this question to the Prime Minister, to the Minister for Justice and Attorney General, the Minister for Mining, and more recently with the Prime Minister. When do we actually see changes to the Lands Act or other legislation relating to the property ownership? Number two, when the Department of National Planning and other agencies do not implement the MOA on Hidden Valley Mine, it is not the ministers or the governor or the LLG presidents and landowner associations that get the blame. The local member and the DDA is attacked for the non-maintenance of the Wau Bulolo National Highway, no electricity and roads in Watut LLG. And when will the DDA be signatories to the mining agreement and other agreements related to the land use and development in Papua New Guinea? Mr. Speaker, the negotiations and position papers for Hidden Valley was submitted in March 2025 and Wafi Golpu in October 2023. Number three question, when will the Department of Lands and Physical Planning organize and carry out a walk around the land as prescribed by the Land Dispute Settlement Act to confirm the boundaries of the tribal groups and clans owning land in Special Mining Lease or SML 10 or Wafi Golpu Mine? Number four, when will the department carry out a land investigation in the Special Mining Lease 10 area and in wards 1 to 6 in Muming LLG to determine the individual and clan owners? And finally, Mr. Speaker, when will land investigation be done along the project footprints of SML 10 in Muming LLG, Wampar LLG, and also in Ley and Ahi LLG to determine the individual and clan owners? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister for Lands, Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I'd like to acknowledge the good member for Bulolo for his relevant questions regarding land ownership associated with the mines, not just the operating mines of Hidden Valley, but the proposed mines for Wafi Golpu and also alluvial mines in his district. That is a serious question, and to give it the answer it needs, if I can ask the good member to give me a detailed written letter to myself so I can answer it properly and professionally in an upcoming session of Parliament, so that the people of Bulolo, Morobe, and Papua New Guinea can have a proper answer for those series of questions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for North East.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I want to ask question to, without a notice, to the Prime Minister in regard to preparation for 2027 national election. I guess there's a committee, special parliamentary committee on 2022 national election, led by Governor for East Civic, Alan Bed. And they presented the report on the amendment for the election to come, which is 2027. I think we got 11 months, and time is getting narrow now. So it's about eligibility of the candidates, and two, the qualification of the candidates, the nomination fee from 1,000 to 5,000 or 10,000, and then number three, most importantly, the petitioners. The petitioners. I think there's some amendment done on that one, because I've been into a seat for 22 national election. I got 76 candidates challenging me in this electorate, and 3 petitioners, National Court, Supreme Court, and 1 slave rule. And I don't want to go into the same thing again, so I think the best way that the amendment was already on the floor, they presented on the floor of Parliament, the recommendations. And all those 3 or 4 recommendations are in there. So I want to ask the Prime Minister, when is this going to be implemented as a law that we can, going forward in 2027 national election? Number 1, eligibility. Anybody can send grade 1, grade 2, or anybody, or grade 10. Nomination fee, 1,000. Go up to 10 or 5,000. Now, it's a democracy. We cannot deny somebody right to stand, but there must be a law guided. Number 3, the petitioners. If they want to petition, everybody got right, they can petition. But the security bond from 5,000, we can increase it up to 100,000 or 200,000, because, see, the cost of lawyers, it's very expensive. And my 3 petitioners, I pay close to 1 million kina. So I don't want to go into the same seat again in 2027. So my question is to the Prime Minister is that the bipartisan committee already tabled this one. So when are we going to apply it and implement it in 2027? Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honorable Prime Minister, before you answer the question, I would like to ask the member to withdraw an unparliamentary word by saying sit. Can you withdraw that from your statement on the question?
Deputy Speaker, with my whole hearted, I withdraw that one on the floor of Parliament.
Thank you, member, for notice. With all hearted from the chair, accepted your apology. The Honorable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Deputy Speaker. I want to appreciate your leadership once again. And before I answer the question, I want to acknowledge those who are in the public galleries, our students, our people, our leaders from Goroka, Semoy, all our tourists from Papa, Lelea, Borea, and Porebada. We do acknowledge the important role you play in the hosting the plant site that our PNG LNG is product is shipped out of. You'll be a very important player in the LNG industry going forever into the future. And I acknowledge the petition by the voice of Hiri Kweri we'll certainly look into the petition and find a solution that is good for all our people, so all rights are preserved on the table. We also acknowledge Sir Michael. I was a young fellow in 1995 when we protested that our guests at the time, we had British Petroleum and Chevron Texaco wanting to send the PNG LNG down to Gladstone in Australia. Myself, rallying behind Governor Agiru, we said no to export of gas to Australia, and those bettered the move towards having our gas refined in our country and processed elsewhere. I want to acknowledge the wisdom of Sir Michael Somare, a true nationalist. It is closer from Heights to Wewak, or the northwest area. He could have allowed it to go north, but he allowed it to come south. So we thank Sir Michael Somare for picking the current location, a great reflection that national leaders must think about all sides of our country. So I do acknowledge the work that's gone before us, and say Moi for your own strong work as the Minister of Petroleum back then. And I thank all people of Motu Koita who play an important role in giving land of our city, as well as the surrounding areas that continue to host us in water and power, and now with the PNG LNG. And so the member's petition is in order. We'll certainly look upon it in the not too distant future. Talk about the question that member for Mosby Northeast asked. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Section 50 of our Constitution avails the right to contest to anyone without discrimination. So I don't think it will be in the spirit of our Constitution to curtail right of contest. That right of contest remains the candidate's right. But more importantly also, as anyone can contest, but the voters have a greater right to decide on who to vote into office or not. Two sides of the same coin. Right to contest and right to vote all emanate from Section 50 of our nation's Constitution. So I don't think the Constitution spirit allows for us to pass subsidiary laws that curtail anyone and everyone to contest. Although it's a qualified right, the Leadership Code allows for those qualifications. If you're criminally indicted or charged, you may not contest. You're under a certain age, I think it's above 18 if I'm not wrong, then you are able to contest. So those qualifications are already built in, but the overall ambit of our Constitution that allows for exercise of Section 50 by potential candidates or candidates is maintained. And, but certainly there's something, this government right now is not looking into it to curtail rights of candidates to contest. But as we mature into the future, the next parliament can certainly look into some of those qualifications if need be. On the issue of petitioners, I know one member of parliament here who's 100% liquidated a petitioner. I know one member of parliament here who's 100% liquidated a petitioner. And so that option is available for those who are successfully defeated an election petition. Go back to court and get through the taxation process. And if the petitioner is not able to then pay your cost, then you could work on the liquidation process. And that option is always available. I think the law is sufficient in that space. I ask those who have been successfully diffused election petition, seek free consultation through that member of parliament. And on the side, I could pass his name to you, Honorable Member for Mosby Northeast, and he could be your free advisor in this space. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. My question without notice goes to, it's a follow-on question that goes to the Honourable Minister for International Trade and Investments, the Honourable Richard Maru. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Honourable Deputy Opposition Leader and Member for Hiri-Koiari has just presented a very important petition to the Honourable House, and especially to the National Executive Council. My follow-on question to the good minister is, he mentioned yesterday that Lihir, through their Mineral Resources Lihir Limited, have successfully managed landowner equity in Lihir, and it's on record and it's been very successful. Part of the petition, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the Deputy Opposition Leader has presented is for the government to immediately make an undertaking that the people of Central Province will have their own special purpose vehicle to manage landowner equity for plant site landowners, which from the petition is quite sizable and significant. So my question, Deputy Speaker, to the Honourable Minister is, can he give an undertaking to this Honourable House that he will undertake to ensure that the people of Central Province and the plant site are effectively represented through their own special purpose vehicle? And to just remind this Honourable House and the good Minister.
Honourable Opposition Leader, we have a point of order. Minister, what's your point of order?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I respect the Leader of Opposition, and he's asking a pertinent, very, very important question which need good answers, but it should be redirected to the Prime Minister or myself. The Prime Minister especially is responsible for MRDC, so he can give an answer. This matter is an internal matter. It has got no connection with international business, and the person who is in charge of MRDC and who will ultimately decide whether our landowners from either the plant site or even landowners from the rest of the LNG producing areas can be allowed to have their own investment company, just like our landowners from Lihir will be made by the minister who is responsible for MRDC, who is the Prime Minister. So in my view, with respect, the wrong minister is being questioned, and I would rather ask our Leader of Opposition to redirect this question to the man who is responsible for MRDC, which is the Prime Minister. Thank you.
Honourable Minister, your point of order is in order, but as I've alluded earlier many times, that the members of Parliament, at his own discretion of who the minister they like to ask the question to. So if he asks the question and the minister that he raised the question to feels that he cannot respond, he can make that known to the Parliament, and then it can be raised. Opposition Leader, since then the Minister have raised the point of order, and I've ruled his point of order in order on some important parts that the question can be raised to those Minister relevant. It's on to you. If you wish to still direct the question to the Minister, I will allow you to have that. So I'll.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. It's within his purview to control the capital markets, and that's the Minister responsible, so I'm asking him.
Go ahead, Honourable.
So thank you, Deputy Speaker, for the ruling. Just back to my question, can the Minister give an undertaking to look at the petition and for the plant site landowners to ensure that they have their own separate special purpose vehicle to manage their funds? And I just remind the Minister of the second tenet of the preamble of the Constitution, equality and participation, Mr. Speaker, where it is incumbent on the government to give every opportunity for citizens to participate in development and benefit from that participation. So that should provide the context in which we expect a response from the good Minister. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Minister for Internal Trade and Investment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the Leader of the Opposition. I thought I made my position very clear yesterday, and I think the advice given by my colleague is the right advice. This is a matter for the Minister responsible for MRDC. I am not. So I'm not going to answer that question. The right advice has been given, and I cannot give that undertaking. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Opposition Leader, what's your point of order?
Well, if he's going to not respond to the question, Mr. Speaker, I seek leave of the chair to allow the Minister for State Enterprise to respond to the question.
Opposition Leader, I think the Minister have ruled on a point of order, and I've given you an opportunity to redirect your question if you think the point raised by the Minister, and since then the Minister have already raised the question, I'll reserve your question to the next day of question time, and you can direct your question to the Prime Minister. Member for Abao.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. My question without notice is directed to the Minister for Health. This is in relation to the Minister's response the other day with regards to the overcrowding in our premier hospital, the Port Moresby General Hospital, and I've got 3 short questions, plus a suggestion for the good Minister. Number 1, in 2 of Minister's public statements, and again repeated it yesterday when he was responding to the questions, he labeled Port Moresby General Hospital as level 6 3 times, and it's on Hansard. I want to ask the question, has the Minister relabeled Port Moresby General Hospital to a regional referral hospital, which is the current definition of level 6 hospitals? And therefore, he is confusing himself and the entire health ministry. So he is thinking that all regional Southern region patients should be referred to the Port Moresby General Hospital. Can the Minister advise the country, has he changed the categorization of the nation's referral hospital, which is level 7, and that is Port Moresby General Hospital? Number 1. Number 2, it is well noted, and doctors have complained, 2 senior doctors have complained of no beds in the Port Moresby General Hospital, both a specialist surgeon and a specialist obstetrician. Surgical and obstetric beds are sought in Port Moresby General Hospital. The question is, has the Minister and his department done a study on the actual cause of the shortage of beds at the surgical as well as the obstetric divisions of the Port Moresby General Hospital? If so, what are the results of that study? Because the information that I have shows that in terms of what we call category 3 patients, and these are the ones that don't need specialist doctors. In terms of the emergency department, category 3 patients fill up the Port Moresby General Hospital by 60%. And PMGH did a undertaking, for example, to do a clinic at 6 Mile for emergency for 24 hours. When that happened, according to the survey, 60% of emergency cases, which is usually surgical, emergency cases dropped by 30% just by opening 6 Mile emergency services for 24 hours. Has Minister got that information? If so, the implications are, and the Governor for NCD was turning up to help the Minister yesterday, but the Deputy Speaker, you said there's no provision for anybody to help anybody on the floor of Parliament yesterday. That means that the answer lies in the National Capital District Provincial Health Authority. Has the minister got those figures corrected? So that's emergency. For obstetrics, the normal deliveries occupy 90% of PMGH delivery beds. Is the minister aware of this study? 90% of PMGH delivery beds are occupied by normal deliveries that don't need a specialist hospital case. And so, Mr. Speaker, can the minister acknowledge that there was a NEC decision in September 2025 where the decision to allocate about 12 million kina as per the recommendation by the experts to create delivery beds in NCD, Metoreia, Kaugere, 9 Mile. There was a recommendation. Is the minister aware of it? And if the decision is true, when will that money dedicated to create delivery beds in NCD? Because this will immediately resolve this overcrowding in surgical as well as obstetric beds. I think those are the short term, and if the minister can acknowledge that these studies, or if not, if he can get his experts to advise him so that they can move very, very quickly. Cabinet has already allowed NCD-PHA to receive that fund last September, but when will that fund be released to NCD-PHA so that they can create those beds in the recommended areas? I think they're doing it on Metoreia Clinic already. Kaugere, I think Minister for Foreign Affairs has to be asked to open that Kaugere quickly. And I think the recommendation is big population is 9 Mile area. For member for Mosby North East has to finish that so that the beds can be created. For the long term, I have a recommendation for the minister to consider, and I will sit down. I think for the long term, Port Moresby City needs a level 4 hospital in Mosby Northeast, needs a level 4 hospital in Mosby South, needs a level 5 hospital in NCD, needs a level 5 hospital in Central, and needs a level 5 hospital in Koilala, and Central will be in the Hiri-Koiari electorate. We strongly recommend from the opposition that the government through the minister considers this. This, we believe, will solve the overcrowding both in the surgical and the obstetric wards in PMGH. Thank you.
The Honourable Minister for Health.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Firstly, thank you to the member for Abao for these very, very important questions. Port Moresby Hospital was constructed in 1980s, and the capacity was to cater for 300,000 population of NCD, lots of time. Today, fast forward come today, and more than 1 million people stable NCD. So that's the reason why the maternity ward section, PMGH, that's supposed to be catering for the less number. At the moment, 17,000 babies are born every year, 60 births per day long, maternity ward lanes alone, PMGH alone. Why it's like a map? Because we also know that good facilities or low-level facilities like urban clinics, along with in NCD. The first point about whether the levels today, long information of parliament, you got 6 levels of health facilities in the country, 6. Level 1 past time 8 post, now we call him change him health post. Level 1. Level 1 before we got 8 post, we only community health worker 8 post was established. Now we got change him health post, so he can get a triple workman, he can stop inside. Long all, the nursing officer can stop deliver on mama. Level 2, first time we call him a health sub center today. community health post. You can get up to 5 workmen can stop inside or 10. Level 3, health centers. Level 4, district hospitals. Level 5, provincial hospitals. Level 6 now, PMGH, National Referral Hospital. You know what level 6, before level 6, regional hospitals, but because under the Nuclear Health Service Standards 2021, you got 2030, you got all specialists reviewing this land, all say, you don't need to look at the regional hospitals. So you can upgrade him all at the level 5 to be able to capture the requirement of need look at all health facilities in the country. So you look at level 6 more, and level 6 and PMGH now. Level 6 before regional hospitals, look at more now, and level 6 and PMGH stop line. And first, something me like stress him. Under the Nuclear National Health Service Standards, there's only 6 levels. That's level 6 and National Referral, Super Specialist Hospital and PMGH. Port Moresby also get 1,000 beds stop inside, close to 1,500 workmen stop inside, not slab. You be fully aware, the nuclear health infrastructure plan that during my presentation to Parliament this last session, I did present to Parliament the National Health Infrastructure Plan 2025 to 2035, and we reflect him to different levels. Now get the line we have one canal facility by stop one local level government blow you, one district blow you, level 5 provincial hospitals and level 6 stop on time. So under the health plan too, that's what we're doing at the moment. Now the point most of the emergency cases will come to PMGH today, overcrowding where you look him stop or line planting stop the floor. Planting low and more suppose you straight him go to all health facilities, lower health facilities by you don't need to plant this line by gonna overcrowd the PMGH. PMGH at the moment you talk at level 6. They are now supposed to be looking at high level of healthcare in the country. Last year, you must have also successfully delivered kidney transplant last year. I'll deliver more than 200 cases, only assisted more than 200 cases long. Before line planning got heart problem, only the process angiogram for the first time, but before one line you can raise them up to 100,000 kina, go overseas, relieve them clog arteries belong all heart. Today that can be done at PMGH for the first time. I must have something where you need to allow PMGH to concentrate on high level healthcare now. The specialized healthcare. You don't need to go to overcrowding or emergency department kind of same. So that's where we are heading at the moment. We are improving the lower level of healthcare facilities. I want to make it very clear. Sepuga said something about what we're doing. Lower level health facilities Loyemi. The NEC making decision last year long committing on the 12 million kina. Improving delivery beds. 6 Mile is undergoing renovation. Gerayu undergoing renovation. Meteoric Clinic is completed. You got 2 delivery beds stop long up. More than mothers are now delivering for the first time outside of PMGH. All mothers are now Olukar and baby lo up. Na lo Kaugere lo Kwikila. By open up this year, I want to thank Minister Tachengo, Minister for Foreign Affairs, working together with the NCD to make sure that we deliver the hospital this year. So these are things that are happening at the lower level of health facilities so we can relieve the congestion and the pressure at PMGH. I'd like to say that we are doing Agivaru at Agivaru is one of my district, Kariku. There's a facility that I'm opening this year as well, and level 3. That you make him long by relieving all pressure lo PMGH to also me talk pinis haste me play straight him can quickly for the first time or mama can carry baby lo up now Dr. Stab lo up lo Central Province me talk thank you lo Minister of Finance all straight him Malalawa is on tender at the moment and we improve again Kerema. So when we do this, look at the segment go big again. Also no need to go specialized services. You mean you free my PMGH. That's the what today me make him lawyer. So that we can go down the street in all low health facilities. So we are fully aware of what's happening. Zapuga, thank you for asking the question. Central Province, we're working together with NCD PHA, Gulf PHA. All of us are working in partnership to make sure that they relieve PMGH and allow them to focus on a high level, like cardiac, like cancer. Government committed 200 million here fixing cancer facility. For the first time this year, Our aim is not to allow or refer anybody who's got cancer cycle overseas anymore. And government committee 200 million kina lots of facility. If we complete this particular facility, it's a huge commendation to the government, and we're addressing all these things. To comment on a suggestion made by the member, requested law, what we're doing in level 4, as I said, immediately stretching level 4 facilities law NCD, also supporting Central Province, supporting Kerema, Gulf for PHA, and I want to thank the PHA for Gulf PHA. The chairman there and the CEO have done very, very well. We've been to Central PHA. I'd like to seek the support along respective members of parliament, especially the Central Province, go work on them PHS, support them also what's happening. They're doing a lot of good works. I've been to Migolo Tapini, Tapini up in the quick Koilala, Migbin Koilala Pinis, now looking all facilities long up. I've been to many of our places in the country. I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I believe we are addressing some of these things. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Governor for Western. Honorable Governor, what's your supplementary?
Supplementary, I'm Sot Platasol, I'm Lo Alpi Mamaste, but I'm still not talk out. So, Milag ask him, Minister of Health also, when I'm plan level 5 belong NCD, level 5 belong Central Province, level 5 I think also from Gulf Province. Because problem of POMGen, apart from Olgada and Kadim, this hospital saved the 2 provinces plus our capital city. So it's already overwhelmed stretch. So let me ask him, when I plan there's a level 5 hospital, there's a Gulf Province, Central Province, you mean launch him 2021 or 2022? Na NCD, Mitubla Minister yet, Mitubla launch him, I think, 1 year ago, na Mitubla wait yet the staff. So, I never can him to clear so that everybody knows. Because now POMGen has become a national referral and teaching hospital. It serves the entire country too. And we expect that hospital to be there for everybody. You may provide him, clear pathway to relieve the burden is Port Moresby General Hospital. Help him me platulo PHA below NCD. And that's all.
Honorable Minister for Health.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and thank the Governor for NCD for this important question, level 5 NCD. Level 5 law NCD, is National Health Plan covering level 5 law NCD, Central Province, Gulf Province to one time. And first, talking about level 5 is big facility. We're fully aware of the need to actually fast track this particular infrastructure. But me like asking also, there's issues with land that we need to really sort out properly. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, me like talk today also, our bureaucracy. Bureaucrats blow you side blow Treasury, land blow you works, Department of like my own department. We need to really work fast on some of these things. Some of the time you talk low, move fast sit down area making one meeting fast track. Many of our bureaucracies are very, very slow. They are very slow in moving things. We can talk and ask them to have meetings, and we need to really force them to have meetings. There are people who are willing to support us and move things fast, but me appeal also all bureaucrats believe me. I want to thank Prime Minister now. There's a coordinating team at this department to make sure that we move things fast through the Chief Secretary calling the heads. It's just quite difficult to actually get the bureaucrats coming together to hold meetings and move things fast. That's what I'm seeing at the moment. It's actually frustrating to Mr. Deputy Speaker. Level 5, actually, there's a lot of meetings going on, and we need to move things a bit faster. Central Province, long NCD. Central Province do one kind. There's all of these things. Our Department of Health is working with the team now. You may establish them all respective working committees. Work on them all team. But then there must be like ongoing meetings every week so that we are fully aware of what's happening. We like to go to them. That was something. So to start, actually, the design is we actually delayed in this clinical service plan for some time. Maybe complete now. The design is in place now. The land is secured now. It's now the finance to actually establish the kind of source of funding that must come through so that we can fast track some of these things. For Central Province, on one kind, the design is in place. There's it just delayed one in some issues with the land, some of those things. But then maybe stop it is now long. Fast track is something. I want to, in this particular question, may I talk to also, I want to say today that we need to review the procurement process law or side law health. Medical supplies that come through the normal procurement process law that take him close to 6 months or 1 year to make a decision. In terms of critical health infrastructure, that decision must be made very quickly. Everything else is going through the same line of procurement arrangements that we can actually wait for months and months. Me appeal also, this is some time we can reassess, review how we procure the procurement process law, health sector, fast-track medical supplies procurement, health infrastructure procurement to do or follow another different lane so we can fast-track particular things. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honourable members, we have another supplementary. Governor for Central.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I want to may I use this opportunity to ask leave of the House to extend our question time.
Honourable members, the question is that the question time be extended for 20 minutes. Those in favour, please stand. Thank you, honourable members. We have the absolute majority. The question time now is extended for 20 minutes. Governor for Central, you may ask your question. Supplementary question.
Thank you. So my supplementary question, remarks and question to the Minister for Health is that in the years that I've been in office as the Governor of Central Province, there's only one time that I signed during the time that Dr. Lino was Minister for Health for an amount of 15 million to be dispersed to the CPHS, Central Province Health Authority. All the other years that the appropriation has been given for Central Health Authority, none of those fundings were made available to the PHA. And so it's very easy to stand here and say money is going, but it is on paper, but it's not getting down to where it's not translating into cash in the accounts, operational accounts of these PHAs. And Central PHA is one of those PHAs. So you can stand here and say Central Province this and that, but money is not going down. So please get your facts right, do your work, know the details before you stand here and talk. All this talk and only a quarter of the work is done since the groundbreaking of Central Province Hospital. We just had a new CEO for the Central Province Health Authority, a person with experience of just having completed the whole process for Western Province Hospital. And with the construction up and going, Central Province is fortunate to have someone experienced, have had the experience of going through the whole process of setting up an hospital. And yet, we do not have money for him to continue to do what we all come here and talk about. with no substance, no substance. No money, no work. It's as simple as that.
Honorable Governor, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
So my question is, when are you going to put money that you appropriate to Central Province PHA to get done what you stand here on the floor of Parliament and talk about? Thank you.
Honorable Minister for Health, I'll take this not as a supplementary question. It's a new question, so you may respond to that question.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And I'd like to thank again the Governor for Central for this important question. Firstly, I like making one point clear also. Tami kama Minister of Health first time, me looking on the letter office below me. Also, the good governor him stop him Central Province Hospital. So this la tu emi delay mi pla long. Taitim pun liglig na straight him. Na mi pla tok gen also. Tesla ausikia. Tesla ausikia. Any citizen na bilo by proceed long and yet. So first something like making. So it was a decision made by the NEC, and we are still progressing that particular hospital, despite the fact that there was a letter from the governor to stop the progress on Central Provincial Hospital. So this was some of the delays that has actually happened and contributed towards the delay of Central Provincial Hospital. But nevertheless, that's the reason why I went to Kwikila, declaring also Kwikila began the interim hospital while we declared the PHA for that hospital. Why am I making this law? Because Central Province must got doctors law yet. Today, they have about 6 doctors tabla for the first time. I went there 4 weeks ago. They have a dental, they have lab, they have operating theater, they have maternity ward. This all people are going to look in Slausika. I was there. None of you were there when I went there last time.
Honorable Minister, we have a point of order. Order. We have a point of order. Member for Abao.
Thank you. Deputy Speaker, the governor's question was very, very straightforward. There was 50 million allocated, but that fund never went there. And so the question is, if the minister through the budget process, has he secured funds for the Central Province? Because the first 50 million was allocated, but none of that went for the preparatory phase, etc., etc. Thank you.
Honorable Member, your point of order is in order. Minister, you are still in answering the question, and if you can relate that question straight to what the governor have raised. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Kenneth. Deputy Speaker. The 15 million the governor referring to was as part of the government intervention during COVID period. 2023, government allocated more than 200 million kina, and 15 million kina was allocated to all the PHS law country, including Central Province. Na planti yung kubla PHS solutions la money good. Na planti kubla something stablo kang ablol PHS blol na ausik blol. Now today, lo HSIP account lo department imi lo trekim onem all issue lo onem all work. Now onem all money some lo PHS also an example meeting. All no using some all money despite the fact that planti all heavy kang ablo ausik all some money no be using good. So we know actually this funding only allocated na onem all funding only using to date na. Which ones only using good and which ones only not using good. We have a team in the department that's actually tracking that. So 15 million kina, yes, I'm aware that was actually allocated to PHS to support them. But then there's ongoing concurrent support or to the PHS through normal government funding. This year again, there's 25 million kina allocated to Central PHA. Low support starting work long Central PHA, Central Provincial Hospital, including Kimbe Hospital, that team like was starting this year, Mende Hospital, there's 25 million can allocate this year, starting will work long. First stage, look at the hospitals. So that's the first thing about the funding that the governor asked him. I was in Central Province and I found out that there's only from the requirement of 300 staff Central PHA only got only 30% of workmen only recruited. 70% no got. Now, me been making some talk law, the CEO need to recruit him workman area. And I want to thank the DPM secretary. We have a CEO's WhatsApp. I'm on that WhatsApp, and secretary for DPM is also on the WhatsApp for the CEOs because we had issues with recruitment. And if there's issues with recruitment, they need to, no need law, come must be every time now, check him lawyer. They just consulted through the WhatsApp and they get it done quickly because government is committing fund.
Honorable Minister, we have a point of order from the Governor. Governor Central, what's your point of order?
Okay, my point of order is with regards to the 25 million that he just stated. The CPHA is waiting for that money, and it hasn't come down. So can he tell us now that it is going to get to CPHA? Thank you.
Honorable Governor, your point of order is related to the question you have raised to the Minister, right?
It's in relation to what he just said, that CPHA, Central Province Health Authority, has 25 million appropriated in this year's budget. So I'm saying that they're waiting and they haven't gotten it. When will they get it?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Just to cut it short, that funding is allocated to start off the Central Provincial Hospital. It's not to be used for any other purposes. One can also NCD, Kimben or Nabla. That's actually to start him slow work. That funding and by Orlando Department of Health, work on them team lo yubla lo team ika team lo NCD Central Province. It's still to do with the starting of the full design, and all of those things must be done properly. So that funding, team lo Orlando actually Orlando Central PHA must work on them team lo Department of Health to actually start him work long at Central PHA. Emino blongs put him go long become operational funds same no got. You got separate funding, operational funds, separate long personal emoluments. There's the money and study work law, design, study work law design.
Honorable Minister, we have another point of order. The Honorable Member for hearing.
Yes, Deputy Speaker, the good minister is not answering the question. The question raised, the supplementary raised by the member for Abao was in relation to 50 million kina that was appropriated in the 2025 budget and whether that money was released. He didn't answer the question. That, according to the records, only 17% of that money was released. That money was earmarked, as he says, for the establishment of the preparatory work for the Central Province Hospital. The Governor has also asked the question about the appropriation of 25 million kina for 2026. He's again avoiding the answer. Question is, when is that money going to be released? Because it has still not been released to this date. Simple. Is he making any constructive effort, real effort to the Treasury and Finance Department to have this money released ASAP? He's misleading the people of Central Province and Papua New Guinea.
Honorable Deputy Opposition Leader, I understand that the Minister is still in response to the question. I cannot allow it to be debated as a point of order. So, Honorable Minister, if you can get to that, then beyond, we have 12 minutes left for.
Sorry for taking on. The amount that's allocated and starting work long Nupla Central Provincial Hospital. You know, start yet, so it cannot be released to Central PHA. And by stop now, the Department of Health, the team employee, work on them all long, see what needs to be done. Now, release this money, go time, work start the Central Provincial Hospital. You know, release nothing. Time work start the Central Provincial Hospital, but work start. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Governor, I think the Minister have already ended the reply to your question, so I'll not entertain another point of order. Since then, we have our time running out. You have asked for a 20-minute extension, and the question have already taken some. So Honorable Governor for Western Highlands.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. My question, without notice, will go to the Education Minister. I have two questions, one for Health Minister and one for Education Minister, but anyway, Health Minister is stressed out in all these questions, so because I want to talk for Hagen Hospital too. Yeah. But anyway, my question without notice will have to go to Education Minister. Mr. Speaker, my question is directed to the Minister for Education. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Governor, may I interrupt you? I think on the floor I don't see the Minister for Education. Or Minister for Higher Education, right?
Yes.
In charge of Education Minister. Go ahead, Governor.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, the government previously announced the phase out of grade 8 and grade 10 national examinations under the new education reform. My province, Western Highlands Province, is one of the 5 provinces identified for the implementation of this reform, where students where grade 8 and 10 national examinations has been phased out. As we are now well into 2026 academic year, there remains uncertainty among the students, parents, and teachers and school administrators. Can the Minister confirm to Parliament whether grade 8 and 10 students in the 5 pilot provinces, including my province, Western Highlands, will sit for national examinations this year or not? Further, if the examinations are to proceed, specify directives have been issued to schools and provincial education authorities or not yet? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister for Education.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and thank you, good Governor of Western Highlands, for that good question. I can't give you the answer from the top of my head, and so I'll check and come back to you tomorrow. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Middle Fly.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for giving the opportunity to middle fly again. Question blow me want to know talk save Migolo, the good Minister for National Planning. This in relation to the seat of government funding for the 7 new districts. This year is 2026. Now next year I'm 2027 now. Now this last 7 new blood district, plenty blow blood no game headquarter blow blood yet. We are new districts. Now me blood no working office yet. Me blood no working house blow or public servants blow me blood. Now plenty blow me blood operate lo nabla town or lo nabla place. So question blow me. M-Kamosem. 2024, I've been got appropriation of 5 million for the 7 new districts as a seat of government. Sambla district kisim, Mibla Sambla no kisim. So question Minister, one time you think by you releasing more disla funds Kamlo, Mibla Sambla district when Mibla no kisim. Suppose Mibla no kisim disla, Mibla no na woki disla woglo. Setting up at Kotalbo district now. The priority, this la funding a very priority. Must get office, lo man, lo siran, na walk him walk. Now must get house, lo public servants, lo sleep, na walk him walk, lo saving more people. Without that, or public servants hang up, lo side, lo hotel, or lo renting, or office, lo nabla up. And that is not good. You may create him district or build him district. And it's the responsibility of the government again to support the new districts. Los set him up headquarters na as government na service centers blow this la or new blood district. So minister me like him, you lo talk him this la house. One time by you releasing more this la funds, come law 7 plan new blood district. Thank you.
Minister of National Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, thank you, member, for that very important question. I think all the... Where is it? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that question. I'm sure all the other members of new districts also want an answer to that question. I don't have the details at the moment as to which districts have been, new districts have been paid and which have not been paid. But I will check with the office on that information and I will come back to you. So can I ask the minister, member to put that on question notice so that I will provide the answer to you tomorrow. Thank you.
The Governor for Milne Bay.
About time, got recognized. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for noticing the Governor for Milne Bay, beautiful Milne Bay. First of all, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to take this time to acknowledge our good Prime Minister in coming down to visit our province when we were through a devastation of Cyclone Nyla. On behalf of the people of Milne Bay, we'd like to thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for being there to see for yourself. And you would have been one of the first Prime Ministers to come to witness devastation in our beautiful province. And you saw the ugliness of what nature can do. And with your assistance of 5 million, it's just another speck in the ocean. Basically, you've seen how big the province is in terms of maritime. As you well know, and the country knows, that Milne Bay is the biggest maritime province. Had you given us what was rightfully ours of 42 million, we would have helped ourselves because that was rightfully our funding. But unfortunately, you added another 5 million, which is too little to spread around. Our people are still suffering as I speak today. You have not seen me last week, been here at Parliament, because I was back there to see how my people were facing their problems. I'd like to raise this question to the Minister for Fisheries, but unfortunately, I saw him a few minutes ago, but then he's disappeared. So if I could still direct that question to the Prime Minister, or if the Prime Minister is willing to. Thank you very much. Well, should I reserve or should I continue? Mr.
Honourable
Speaker.
Governor, it's at your discretion if you'd like to reserve your question to ask the Minister responsible.
No, because I may not have
Otherwise, if you want to ask the Prime Minister is the Chief Minister
Thank you.
to all.
Then I
He
direct
can
it to
respond.
the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. Yeah. Which was meant for the Minister for Fisheries, but then I direct it to the Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister, if you could, in your wisdom, open the sea cucumber, or the BDM that we call it, to 2 or 3 months to get our people to helping themselves instead of becoming beggars in their own rich marine resource. That's one of them. The other one is, why did the Minister for Fisheries had come down and brought so-called investors into my province to start off hatcheries when they did not consider any locals? And under the pretext of coming up with hatcheries, they started going out collecting beach demare. And we have about 2 or 3 setups down there, all nothing but foreigners. And then to make it worse, Mr. Speaker and Prime Minister, they went ahead and funded them, so-called investors, in the millions. And they don't spend that kind of money to our local people in setting our own resource owners to deal with their own resource. My third question, when will NFA come down to sign the MOU that we have signed back in 23. They come up with good promises. They start us off to keep on signing with nothing happening at the province of their commitments. But when it comes to BDM, they're the first people bringing down all the foreigners when this particular industry is supposed to remain for locals alone, with alluvial mining and BDM. But they tend to bring down foreigners to go and start taking over everything. What was restricted for us locals? If you could, Prime Minister, look into this. Those are my 3 questions to the Minister for Fisheries. And I must apologize to you, Prime Minister, for raising my voice up on this series of questions that was meant for the Fisheries Minister. Thank you, sir.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to thank the Governor for Milne Bay for asking this question. You don't need to apologize for raising your voice. You have every right in this House to raise your voice for your people. So I want to say thank you for asking these questions. You prefix your question with the 42 million kina. I want to indicate to the people of Milne Bay that this debt owing to Milne Bay has been outstanding since 2015, when the shares in the oil palm, oil palm company was then sold off, and IPPC, or State Enterprises, collected its money in 2015, and nothing was passed to both Milne Bay and Oro Province, if I'm not wrong. So, but our government did pass to the Milne Bay Provincial Government and Oro Provincial Government 10 million each earlier, if not last year, then a little bit earlier than last year. That 42 million kina, as you said, is owing and outstanding. We will, once funds become available in budget, we'll try to pass on some at the earliest, and until we eventually retire the full money owing to your province. On the issue on the beach demo, we've issued instruction. If the scientific, from national government perspective, scientific evidence is has given clearance to beach demo businesses or harvest to be allowed, and it must happen at the very earliest. I share your concern on local Milne Bay and local businesses participating. It is this administration's policy, Pango-led coalition's policy, that any business in the local area, in the first instance, must be picked up, or locals must participate. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to ask the good governor to put your question in writing to me, make a pointer to those issues you've raised on the floor of Parliament, copy the Fisheries Minister, and we will certainly attend to them. We don't want to displace locals from participating in business themselves. It's a similar vein and spirit to the issues raised by the Honourable Member for Hiri Koiari, and likewise right around. Where locals must participate in business, this Pango administration stands to support the local. They must get business in the immediate place. If they don't have capacity, then joint venture with other locals. If other locals don't have capacity, then joint venture with international investors. International investors must come in at certain level, and companies, whilst we have right to invest in other parts of our country, giving respect to people in the immediate locality is really in order and right. So certainly we look into what the fisheries team are doing. But commendations to also the fisheries team. Long in the past, we were not encouraging investment in the fisheries space. So they are trying to get out there to incubate investment in the fisheries space. For the first time now, crab export from Central Province is now finding its way to Singapore market. We've signed an agreement with China, for instance, now. They're ready to pick up all exports out of PNG. I want to comment, one of the districts in your province, Mr. Governor, in case you're not aware, but in your own former electorate, the member for Samarai Murua is frontier leading in harvesting fisheries, not by extra fund, but because he invested the DSIP fund. In that space, they are fishing business now by a local district company they're doing, and national government complement ex gratia. Kina for Kina, he put 5 million Kina, we complement 5 million Kina. And right now, locals are harvesting fish, selling to the boat, to the mother ship. Last time he took me to the ship, one red emperor, this size. I asked him how much you pay the local. They said 150 Kina. Red emperor, this size. I tell you, if I was in that electorate, I'll be hunting for red emperor all the time. 150 Kina is half the price of security guard at Stanley Hotel, or Hilton Hotel, or Port Moresby. So the opportunities out there. Governor, your concern is worth it. This government's take back PNG philosophy is not only in mining and oil gas, but in this space. You give a letter to me. If the Fisheries Department have misfired a little bit, we realign them. So your provincial business unit, arm, or people, partner fisheries, and we go into this space. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, our question time has lapsed. Minister for Mining.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Me seeking leave lo share lo respond lo one block question where Governor lo Western been asking.
Your leave is granted. Make your response.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I would like to respond to a question that was raised by Governor of Western on Friday 29, 2026, and a supplementary raised by the member for North Fly in regards to environmental impact for Porgera mine and the concerns on downstream riverine communities. First of all, at the outset, I wish to acknowledge and thank the Prime Minister, Honorable James Marape, and the Marape-Rosso government for recognizing the interest and the concerns of riverine communities for the first time through NEC Decision number 242 of 2025. Under this decision, the government approved the allocation of 1% interest from the state equity of 32% held through Kumul Minerals Holdings Limited, with 0.5% allocated to the riverine communities and 0.5% as a future trust fund to be distributed as cash benefits derived from the income generated from the 1% equity interest, and two, the allocation of 140 million over 7 years for the communities in the Hela, Western, and West Pacific provinces that are affected by the mining operation. Mr. Speaker, I must also clarify that I can only respond to the matters that fall within the responsibility of the Ministry of Mining and its agencies. The number of issues raised related to specifically to environmental regulations and management, which falls under the Conservation and Environment Protection Authority, or SEPA, and I request the Minister for Environment to take note. Question number 1. Does the national government have any plans to undertake the environmental monitoring and rehabilitation activities to address the impact of the Porgera mine and downstream river systems and affected communities? The Mineral Resource Authority, or MRA, regulates mineral exploration, mining, and processing activities under the Mining Act 1992 and the Mining Safety Act 1977. Environmental matters relating to mining operations are regulated under the Environment Act 2000, which is administered by SEPA under the responsibility of the Minister of Environment. Accordingly, the Minister for Environment is the appropriate minister to provide the detailed response on government plans relating to environment monitoring, rehabilitation arising from riverine tailing disposals. However, I am aware that SEPA is required to undertake a comprehensive environmental audit of the Porgera mine. This audit is expected to assess environmental impact associated with the mine's operation and providing findings and recommendations to the government for consideration. Question number 2. Does the Porgera mine have any plans to construct a tailing storage facility in Enga province or elsewhere to mitigate the environmental impact of mine tailings along the river system? Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Mining does not support discharge of mine waste or tailings directly into rivers, lakes, waterways, or the broader environment. This position reflects the increasing importance of environmental, social, and governance standards globally. International mineral buyers, investors, and lenders now expect mining operations to comply with stringent environmental requirements. As a country that relies heavily on mineral exports, Papua New Guinea must continue to strengthen environmental management practices to remain competitive and responsible within the global mining industry. With respect to the Porgera mine, my understanding on this is that the New Porgera Mining Limited currently has no plans to construct a conventional tailing storage facility. Previous technical assessments have concluded that Porgera's operating environment presents significant challenges for a conventional tailing system due to 1. High seismic activity, 2. Extreme high rainfall, 3. Steep mountain terrains, and limited suitable storage location within the mine area. As a result, Porgera mine currently manages tailing through a range of engineered control and monitoring systems. These measures include retaining a portion of tailing underground as paste fill to reduce the volume discharge, 2. Treating tailings through a dedicated cyanide destruction circuit prior to discharge, 3. Neutralizing effluent to ensure compliance with approved environmental limits, and 4. Conducting ongoing monitoring of water quality and sediment both upstream and downstream of the operation. The mine's environment performance is independently reviewed through annual assessment by Australia's Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation, or CSIRO, and supported by international certifications including ISO 14001 and Environmental Management Standards and International Cyanide Management Code. Question number 3. If Porgera mine has no plans to construct a tailing facility, how does it intend to compensate people living along the river system in Hela, Wesipik, and Western provinces? Compensation arrangements for operating mines are established under applicable legislations and negotiation agreements. In this case, the question compares compensation arrangement between two separate mining projects that operate under different legal framework. Number 1 is Oktedi Mine. Compensation arrangements are governed under Mining Act 2014, that's the Oktedi Mine Extension or 11th Supplemental Agreement. And for Porgera SML 13, the compensation arrangements are governed under Mining Act 1992. Because these projects operate under different legislative and compensation frameworks, the nature and the extent and the value of compensation provided to affected communities are differed accordingly. The applicable legislation and associated agreements determine compensation entitlements and define the recognized areas of impact for each project. Mr. Speaker, nevertheless, I wish to commend the Marape Rosso government for the decision to notice the plight of the people of the riverine communities in allocating the 1% and 147 million for 7 years to the riverine communities. Question number 4, does the national government have plan to increase compensation and benefits provided to riverine communities along the Strickland rivers and the Fly River system, including affected communities in Hela, West Sepik, and Western Province? Mr. Speaker, any reviews of existing riverine compensation arrangements will be informed by the findings of environmental audit currently expected to be undertaken by SEPA. Once the audit is completed and its findings are presented to the government, appropriate considerations will be given to any recommendations relating to compensation, benefits, and other measures required to address identified impacts. Government position on this matter will therefore be guided by the evidence and findings arising from that process. And the final one is the supplementary question raised by the member for North Fly. Would the Minister consider including social license framework for riverine communities affected by the mine? Mr. Speaker, the Oktedi mine operates under the legislation and supplemental agreements that require consultation and engagement with affected communities throughout the recognized impact areas. And the Porgera mine commenced operation at a time when Papua New Guinea's mining regulatory framework was still developing. Consequently, concepts that are now widely recognized in modern resource development, such as social license, free prior and informed consent, or FPIC, and local content requirements were not formally incorporated into the original project agreements. Since then, Papua New Guinea's mining regime has evolved considerably. Mr. Speaker, today the Mineral Resource Authority promotes and monitors compliance with acceptable industry standards and international best practice principles. This includes stronger community engagement, social responsibility obligations, and environmental management expectations. The government remains committed to ensuring that the mining projects operate responsibly and maintain constructive relationships with affected communities while meeting internationally accepted standards. Mr. Speaker, I thank the Governor of Western Province and the member for North Bly for raising these important matters affecting our people in the riverine communities. The government remains committed to ensuring that the mining activities are conducted responsibly, the environmental concerns are properly addressed through the relevant regulatory process, and the affected communities receive fair consideration under the law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister for Disaster and Emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I would also like to ask leave of the Chair to respond to 6 specific questions that were asked of me by the Governor of Oro Province.
Make your response.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I would like to thank the Honorable Governor of Oro for raising these important questions which are of great significance to the people of our country regarding the anticipated El Nino and possible drought conditions. The concerns highlighted reflect the genuine challenges faced by our communities, particularly those in vulnerable and remote areas. These questions also provide the government with the opportunity to inform Parliament and the people on the preparedness measures currently being planned and undertaken through the National ENSO, which stands for El Nino Southern Oscillation Task Force, and relevant agencies. The government remains committed to working collaboratively with all stakeholders to ensure that appropriate preparedness, mitigation, and response measures are implemented to safeguard lives and livelihoods of our people. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the first question: will the Minister advise this House of the total amount of funding allocated by the national government for El Nino preparedness and response activities, and specify how much of those funds have been released or committed to provincial administrations and provincial disaster committees to date? My answer, Mr. Deputy Speaker: at this stage, the national government has not committed or allocated specific funding for El Nino preparedness and response activities. However, the National Disaster Center, in collaboration with relevant government agencies and partners, continue to monitor the situation closely and undertake assessment and preparedness activities in provinces currently under El Nino watch. Accordingly, no funds have been released or committed to provincial administrations or provincial disaster committees, specifically for El Nino preparedness and response to date. The government remains committed to monitoring the evolving situation, and appropriate intervention and funding support will be considered should the situation escalate and require coordinated national response. Mr. Deputy Speaker, question number 2. Will the Minister outline the government's operational preparedness plan, including timelines for the procurement, transportation, and pre-positioning of emergency food supplies, drought-resistant planting materials, water storage facilities, and water purification equipment in vulnerable districts and communities? Mr. Deputy Speaker, my answer: as part of the government's preparedness mechanism for anticipated El Nino conditions, the national government has established the National ENSO task force under the direction of the Chief Secretary and oversight of the National Security Authority. The National ENSO task force comprises senior officers from key government agencies, including the National Disaster Center, the National Weather Service, Department of Agriculture and Livestock, Department of Health, Department of Provincial and Local Government Affairs, Department of Defense, and other relevant stakeholders. The task force is responsible for coordinating preparedness and planning, assessments, information sharing, and response arrangements relating to the potential impacts of El Nino. At this stage, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the government's operational preparedness activities are focused on risk monitoring, assessments, awareness, and interagency coordination. Technical assessment teams have already been deployed to provinces under El Nino watch to verify conditions on the ground and identify vulnerable communities. The National Disaster Center and relevant agencies are currently compiling assessment findings and preparedness requirements to inform government decision-making on possible interventions, including procurement and pre-positioning of emergency food supplies, distribution of drought-resistant planting materials, provision of water storage facilities and water purification equipment, and the coordination of logistics and transportation arrangements to affected vulnerable districts, and specific timelines for procurement, transportation, and pre-positioning activities will be determined following the completion of assessments and the government's consideration of funding and operational requirements. The government remains committed to ensuring that all necessary preparedness and response measures are coordinated in a timely manner should the El Nino situation worsen. Question number 3, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Given the logistical challenges associated with serving remote and isolated communities, what assessments have been put in place with government agencies, the private sector, transport providers, and development partners to ensure timely delivery of emergency supplies and humanitarian assistance should conditions deteriorate? Mr. Deputy Speaker, the answer: the concern raised by the Honorable Governor regarding the logistical challenges of serving remote and isolated communities are acknowledged and are indeed critical issues that the National ENSOR Task Force will continue to examine closely. As part of the government's preparedness arrangements, the National ENSOR Task Force is coordinating with relevant government agencies, provincial administrations, transport providers, the private sector and humanitarian partners, including our development partners, to strengthen contingency planning and response coordination mechanisms should conditions deteriorate. The government recognizes that accessibility remains one of the greatest challenges in PNG, particularly in remote highlands, island, and rural communities. In anticipation of possible impacts arising from El Nino conditions, discussions are ongoing regarding the mobilization of available government assets, logistics support, and partnership that may be required to facilitate the timely delivery of emergency supplies and humanitarian assistance. Relevant agencies and partners are also being engaged to identify available transport and supply chain capacities, including air, sea, and land transport options as part of preparedness planning. The national government remains committed to working collaboratively with all stakeholders to ensure coordinated and timely humanitarian support is provided to affected communities should situation escalate. Question number 4, Mr. Deputy Speaker, what measures are being undertaken in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, provincial health authorities, and provincial administration to ensure that aid posts, health centers, and district hospitals are adequately stocked with essential medicines, medical supplies, and emergency resources to respond to any increase in malnutrition, dehydration, waterborne disease, and other El Nino-related public health problems? Mr. Deputy Speaker, the answer, the Department of Health is one of the key members of the National ENSOR Task Force established by the national government. Accordingly, the health-related concerns raised by the Honorable Governor form an important part of ongoing discussions and preparedness planning being undertaken by the task force. The National ENSOR Task Force is working closely with the Department of Health, the provincial health authorities, the provincial administrations, and relevant stakeholders to assess potential health risks associated with possible El Nino conditions, including malnutrition, dehydration, waterborne diseases, and other public health-related concerns. As part of preparedness planning, discussions are underway regarding the availability and distribution of essential medicines, medical supplies, emergency health resources, and the operational readiness of aid posts, health centers, and district hospitals, particularly in vulnerable and high-risk areas. The government remains committed to ensuring that the health sector is adequately engaged and prepared to respond effectively should the El Nino situation worsen and impact communities across our country. Question number 5, Mr. Deputy Speaker, will the Minister inform this House whether the government has completed provincial vulnerability assessment and risk mapping, and if so, which provinces and districts have been identified as priorities for immediate intervention and support? Mr. Deputy Speaker, my answer, yes, the government through the National Disaster Center and relevant member agencies of the National ENSOR Task Force has already conducted vulnerability assessment in provinces currently under El Nino watch. Technical assessment teams comprising officers from the National Disaster Center, National Weather Service, Department of National Planning and Monitoring, and other relevant government agencies, and our bilateral partners like UN-HAT and IOM were deployed to assess and verify conditions on the ground, including potential risks and vulnerabilities associated with emerging El Nino conditions. The provinces currently under El Nino watch are Eastern Highlands Province, Simba Province, Chiwaka Province, Western Highlands Province, Enga Province, Southern Highlands Province, and Hela Province. The assessment reports are currently being finalized and will be presented to government to inform decision-making, preparedness planning, and any necessary intervention and support measures. The identified provinces under El Nino watch remain priority areas for monitoring preparedness activities and possible intervention should situation worsen. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I think the last question, question number 6, what mechanisms are in place to ensure regular public reporting and communication to affected communities regarding preparedness measures, emergency response activities, and availability of assistance during El Nino period? Mr. Deputy Speaker, my answer, the national government through the National Disaster Center and the National ENSO Task Force recognize the importance of timely public reporting and effective communication with affected communities during this El Nino period. Accordingly, all public information relating to preparedness measures, assessment findings, emergency response activities, warnings, and the availability of assistance will be made available through the National Disaster Center's official website, www.pngdc, beg your pardon, I'll repeat that, www.pngndc.gov.pg. In addition, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the National Disaster Center will continue to work closely with the provincial disaster committees, the provincial administration, the National Weather Service, media organizations, and relevant stakeholders to ensure that information is disseminated to communities in a timely and coordinated manner. To further strengthen communication systems and improve information flow between national government and the provinces, the National Disaster Center is also undertaking arrangement to install Starlink communication devices in all provincial disaster offices across the country. This initiative is intended to improve connectivity, communication reliability, and information sharing, particularly during emergencies and disaster events affecting remote and isolated communities across our country. The government remains committed to ensuring that communities are kept informed and that accurate and timely information is accessible through the El Nino period, as well as any other disaster that may befall us. Mr. Deputy Speaker, that is the end of my response. I thank you, and I thank the Governor for Oro for asking those questions. Thank you.
Honourable members, pursuant to Statute I, present the report of the Auditor General relating to the inspection and the audit of the financial statement of public bodies and their subsidiaries and national government-owned companies. Chairman of Public Accounts Committee.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Parliament take note of the paper and that the report be referred to the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Public Accounts.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye, and those against say no. Ayes have it. The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, pursuant to the statute, I present a treaty document relating to an agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, on the conservation and sustainability use of marine biological diversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction, BBNJ. Mr. Speaker, I ask leave of Parliament to make a statement in connection with the treaty document.
Honourable members, is leave granted? Make your speech.
Deputy Speaker, honourable members of Parliament, I rise today to present to this honourable House the agreement on the conservation and sustainability use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond the national jurisdiction. commonly referred to as the BBNJ Agreement, for consideration towards ratification by Papua New Guinea. This agreement represents a landmark development in global ocean governance under the framework of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, commonly known as UNCLOS. It establishes the first comprehensive global legal framework to conserve and the sustainability used marine biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction, commonly known as the high seas. For Papua New Guinea, having the identity of a large ocean state whose prosperity, food security, and environment resilience are deeply connected to the health of our ocean. This agreement is of profound strategic importance. The sustainability of marine ecosystems beyond our national jurisdiction directly influences fish stock, marine biodiversity, climate resilience, and the long-term viability of our blue economy. Ratification of this agreement is not obligated in international law, but a strategic voluntary national decision by coastal states like PNG to safeguard the ocean systems upon which our nation's current and future generations depend on. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the BBNJ agreement contains voluntary measures that addresses critical gaps in the governance of our oceans, particularly in 4 key areas. Number 1, marine genetic resources. Number 2, area-based management tools such as marine protected areas. Number 3, environmental impact assessments for activities undertaken in the high seas. And number 4, the mechanisms for capacity building and transfer of marine technology. These pillars provide the international voluntary mechanisms necessary to address emerging threats such as overexploitation, biodiversity loss, deep sea degradation, under-regulated scientific exploitation, and the growth impacts of climate change on marine ecosystems. Importantly, I wish to assure this Honourable House that the agreement does not affect Papua New Guinea's sovereignty, rights or jurisdiction within our exclusive economic zone and territorial sea. It operates consistently with existing rights under international law and strengthens rather than replace the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Mr. Deputy Speaker, as one of the Pacific's largest maritime nations, Papua New Guinea carries both the privilege and responsibility of helping to shape the future of the ocean governance of our shared ocean spaces. By ratifying this agreement, Papua New Guinea will assume several important international obligations. These include participation in global systems governing marine genetic resources in areas beyond national jurisdiction, compliance with environmental impact assessments, requirements for activities undertaken on the high seas,
cooperation in the establishment of marine protected areas, and the submission of reports to the relevant treaty bodies established under the agreement. On the other hand, failure to ratify risks marginalising our voice in decisions that will directly affect marine resources of strategic importance to our nation and region. Deputy Speaker, the strategic benefits of ratification are substantial. Economically, the agreement opens pathways for access to marine scientific research partnerships, technology transfers, capacity development and future benefit sharing arrangements arising from marine genetic resources. These opportunities will strengthen Papua New Guinea's scientific and technical capacity to better understand and manage our ocean resources. Socially, stronger global protection of marine biodiversity contributes directly to food security, the livelihood resistance for our coastal community whose well-being depends on the healthy fish stocks and functioning marine ecosystems. Environmentally, the BBNJ agreement will strengthen global efforts to protect marine biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction. It will also reinforce our national and regional leadership in ocean governance, including initiatives such as the Melanesian Ocean Corridor of Reserves, which promotes sustainable use and conservation of marine resources across our shared open space. Deputy Speaker, there are also financial and administration implications associated with participation in this agreement. These include contributions to the operational costs of the treaty institutions, participation in international meetings and reporting processes, and investment in domestic implementation capacity. At this stage, precisely financial obligations cannot be fully determined until the institution arrangements under the agreement are operational and decisions are made by the Conference of the Parties. Deputy Speaker, implementation will require careful domestic participation. This includes reviewing existing environmental and maritime legislation to ensure consistency with our international voluntary commitments, strengthening coordination among relevant agencies, and developing national procedures for environment impact assessments relating to activities in areas beyond national jurisdiction. It will also require active engagement in regional and international cooperation frameworks. To support implementation of a national BBNG, steering committee has already been established under the National Oceans Committee. The committee brings together government agencies including the Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of Justice and Attorney General, the National Fisheries and the Conservation and Environment Protection Authority, the Department of National Planning and Monitoring. This is interagency mechanism will be crucial and critical in ensuring coordinated national implementation. Deputy Speaker, in conclusion, the BBNJ agreement represents a significant step forward in the global governance of ocean biodiversity. Ratification will strengthen Papua New Guinea's voice in the international ocean governance, reinforce our commitment to sustainable development, and enhance our leadership role in the Pacific region. It will also complement our ongoing national and regional conservation efforts, including emerging marine protected initiatives, and support our strategic interests in ongoing discussions relating to extended continental shelf claims. I therefore commend the BBNJ agreement to this Honourable House for its support and endorsement for ratification. I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Leader of Government Business.
Deputy Speaker, I move that debate be adjourned to tomorrow.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye, and those against say no. As have it. Leader of Government Business.
Deputy Speaker, I move that the Parliament do now adjourn until tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Honourable members, I now adjourn Parliament to tomorrow 10 o'clock a.m.